Hi friends, I'm Urvashi, and today in this video I'm going to be talking about planets and I'm going to be giving an introduction about the relationship of planets and what do the planets basically mean and how do they relate to each other. So I'm going to be doing this in detail. In fact, later on I'm going to be talking about individual planets and their relationships with each other. Today this is just a basic introduction, but I feel it's extremely important because when I was learning astrology, I never really I kept forgetting why are these groups formed, what do these groups mean, why do we have two groups of planets, and why are those groups made like that. So this is something that I never really understood for a very long time. And then one fine day, the way it was explained to me, since then I've never really forgotten it. It's quite simple really, but it's an important thing. It's the basic thing that we need to know about planets, and from there, after this, I will be doing relationship of all the planets with each other on the natural basis, planets, how they relate to each other in your birth chart, and then you will be able to understand the net relationship of the planets naturally and in your birth chart, so the net relationship, whatever it is, and so how supportive they are to each other during the dashas and all. Sometimes we don't get good results in the dashas. That's because of the net relationship of the planets. But today we're just going to be talking about this is just an introduction to what these planets are. So why are there two groups? I hope you guys do know that there are two sets of groups. So these are 7 planets: the Sun, Moon, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Venus and Mercury, but they are divided in 2 groups. So the first group is Sun, Jupiter, Moon and Mars, and these 4 are very good friends. The second group is Saturn, Venus and Mercury. Now this is something I could never remember initially when I started learning astrology. Why are there 2 groups? What does that mean? Why is Venus and Mercury tagging along with Saturn? Saturn is such a boring, dry planet. Saturn is a very dry planet, and Venus and Mercury is a fun-loving planet. So why is Mercury tagging along with Saturn? Mercury should be in the good group, and Venus too, should have been there. So why are they tagging along with Saturn? So this is something I never understood, but it's a simple concept, and I will explain it to you with a very simple example. So think of a monarchy. A monarchy is where you have the head of the state is a king, and after the king passes away or he dies, and then his son becomes the king, and then his son becomes the king, and so on. Or a dictatorship. You can think of it like a dictatorship. In today's world, let's relate it to North Korea. So in North Korea is ruled by the dictator named Kim Jong-un. So now we have a king there. So the king is Sun. Sun is the ruler, the king of the zodiac, the king of your chart. It's a very, very simple concept. If we understand it with real life, then we will remember it. If we relate it to real life, then we will remember it. So here Kim Jong-un would be the ruler. Similarly, Sun is the ruler, okay, in your chart. Now Moon is the wife of the king. So naturally she's going to tag along in this group with Sun, Moon, Mars and Jupiter. So Moon is the queen of this monarchy, and Jupiter is the minister, the prime minister, or the guru, or the person who has the knowledge, who has all the knowledge in the world. You can relate it to somebody like Chanakya, who would be the political advisor of the king. Political advisor, religious advisor, who makes laws, who tells the king what laws should be implemented, because the final path is shown by the king. We all need to follow the king. According to our charts, we all need to follow the sun, the soul, and the moon. And but Jupiter makes the rules. Jupiter decides. Jupiter tells the king what all rules should be made. So the wisdom in that empire comes from Jupiter. And Mars protects protects the kingdom. He's the general of the armies. So anybody who stands up against the king somebody who comes from another kingdom or somebody within the kingdom revolts, it's Mars who takes over and Mars who goes out and defeats and kills, and so he helps in maintaining law and order. So that is why these four are friends, and this is one group. So if we understand it, we relate it to real life, then it becomes very simple. And now on the other side we have Saturn, Venus and Mercury. So why are Venus and Mercury tagging along with Saturn, and what is Saturn? Who is Saturn? So Saturn is the common man. Saturn is the other people that are living in North Korea. So King Kim has an army, that is Mars. He would have certain ministers. The wisest of them would be Jupiter. His spouse would be Moon. And now the people living in North Korea are Saturn. Now the king is very strict about discipline and rules and regulations. Surya or Ravi or the sun is called a crude planet. Crude means it's a very strict planet. Somebody who is very, very cautious with rules, regulations, discipline. So I'm not talking about the king there in North Korea, because we can't really relate the sun to him, but it's just to explain how it is in our charts. Now Saturn is the common man, and in our chart Saturn is the karma that we are supposed to be doing, the effort that we are supposed to be making, the struggle that we have to go through life. And for Saturn this is tough, going through all the rules and regulations according to the sun. Saturn wants to get up and revolt. Saturn, like any kingdom, there are always revolutionaries. The common man tends to get up at some point of time and revolt, and Saturn wants to do that. That is why the opposition of Sun and Saturn in any chart shows a revolt between the father and the son, shows the son and the father are not going to get along well together. There will be an opposition between them. In fact, any planet that is sitting opposite the sun shows a certain amount of struggle related to that planet. So here we have Saturn, who is in opposition to the sun. Sun is royalty, sun is the king, sun brings discipline into the kingdom. He wants discipline. Mars helps sun to bring discipline. Jupiter helps him to make rules and regulations. Moon, of course, supports him emotionally. But Saturn, the common man, doesn't like this, and he wants to get up and revolt. And what does he do to revolt? He uses communication. He uses media. He uses Mercury. So he takes the help of Mercury, media, communication, to talk to other common people and get them together and revolt. So that's what happens in every kingdom. People get together. And how do people get together? With the help of Mercury, communicating, advertising. So even before independence, India got independence. In India too, the press had started becoming active, and there were small newspapers that were helping the revolutionaries to spread word. So that is the use of Mercury for Saturn. So Mercury is the media, and media supports the common man. Media becomes the voice of the common man. So that is why Mercury tags along with Saturn. Mercury is the voice. But here the king doesn't want the common man to raise their voice. So Mercury comes in the other group. Mercury is with Saturn. Mercury is not with Sun. Even the king wants to use Mercury for his propaganda. But the common man befriends Mercury, makes a good friend of Mercury, and uses propaganda to bring their points forth and then break free and have a revolution. And then another thing that Saturn relies on, the common man relies on, is Venus. What is Venus? Venus is art, beauty. So there is so much struggle with Saturn. Saturn shows struggle, hard work, effort. And what do? We want to break free of this struggle. So we run towards Venus. We run towards luxuries and beauty and the finer things of life. And they give us some comfort in life. They give us some happiness in life. So that is what Venus is. It is also expression through art. Like Mercury is expression through words, through communication. Expression through art also has been very important. Right from if we go back and look at any monarchy, any dictatorship, artists have come forth with paintings, with poetry, with ballads, songs, stories, to praise the heroes who revolted, to praise the revolutionaries and bring out that spirit of patriotism and freedom amongst the masses. So that is Venus, that is the artist. So the king is very much against the artist, because the artist is trying to express with the help of art, express what the common man feels, and the king doesn't want any expression. And if you relate this to our charts, the sun is the soul, and we have come here on a journey to achieve certain things that our soul requires, and the struggle that the soul has to do is Saturn. But we tend to fall back on Venus and Mercury. We want a little bit, some comforts and luxuries in life, and we want to roam around and enjoy and be lightheaded like Mercury. And we do not want that discipline, that toughness that Saturn shows. So we tend to fall back on Venus and Mercury. But that's not what the soul's journey is. So that's not what the sun wants, the king wants. And so Venus, Mercury tag along with Saturn, they become the best of friends. And Sun, Moon, Mars and Jupiter become the best of friends. Mars is there defending the king's directions, the king's orders. Mars is there to maintain law and order. Jupiter makes the law, and Sun and Moon are the king and the queen that rule your chart. And Saturn, Venus and Mercury, Saturn is of course opposing the Sun. It's the struggle that we have to do in our life, and we don't want to do it. None of us want to struggle, and we want to run towards Mercury and Venus, to the fun, enjoyment, comfort, luxury, beauty, art. So that is how we can relate real life. And if you look at North Korea, what is happening? They are not allowed to express themselves. There is no freedom of press, so Mercury is suppressed. The ruler has suppressed Mercury. Sun has suppressed Mercury. So Mercury stands with Saturn and Venus. And no art is allowed there. Artists are not allowed there. In fact, even hairstyles, there are limited hairstyles that men and women can have. There are a fixed number of hairstyles, I think 28 that men can have, and a few more that women can have. And they have to stick with those hairstyles. So Venus and Mercury are suppressed there, because when we can use art and communication to express ourselves, the common man uses that. Saturn uses that. Saturn feels comfortable with them. But the king wants discipline and wants achievement and has targets and growth that the soul is supposed to do. So sometimes some of these planets, they go retrograde. In your chart, some of these planets would be retrograde. And then what happens? Then they don't follow the king's orders. Then they are following Rahu and Ketu, because Rahu and Ketu are always retrograde. And then they give different kind of results. So for that, you can watch the other videos that I uploaded about a year ago. I'm going to give the links here at the end of this video. You can check those videos out. So I think very simply, I hope you were able to understand that these are two groups: Sun, Moon, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Venus, Mercury. Art, expression, communication, intellect stand with Saturn. With hard work, they want to support the common man. But the king suppresses all that. The king doesn't want freedom of expression. The king doesn't want art. The king doesn't want the common man to express. And so this is the second group. In the next videos, I will also be talking about the relationship of all the planets in a little detail, so that we can come down to what's happening in your horoscope and why some yogas don't fructify, why some dashas turn out to be good, the antardashas are very supportive, some not so. It's because of these basic things. So we'll see you now in the next video. Bye bye.